Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the subscribe and like button below. Also, before you actually watch the video, change the video quality settings so that you can watch this video and any other YouTube video in high definition quality. If you make that change, things like the grass and the trees and the leaves and the dirt, the rocks, the water, all of that stuff will be super clear, and it will make for a more enjoyable viewing experience. Otherwise, things will be a little bit blurry and not so clear, and that's not fun. So if you're not sure how to do it, go to the comments section, and right at the very top, I will put a comment. And in that comment will be a link that you can click on to a video that I made. In that video, it will show you, or I will show you, how to make this change. It's very simple, very easy, and very quick. But once you know how to do it, then you can make that change on any YouTube video, including this one, and watch the video in high quality, high definition, so it's nice and clear. So go to that, go to the comment section, go to the top, see my little comment, click on the link. It'll take you to a video that I made. It will show you, I will show you exactly how to do it. Then you can come back to this video, make that change, and then watch this video and any other video that you want in high quality definition. But for now, let's go for a rip. See you out there. Hey channel, just thought I'd start the video right here because when we come out here, it's absolutely gorgeous. We're actually going to go the other way, but I just thought I'd stop here and just show you the view. It's absolutely insanely beautiful out here. Anyways, welcome back to the channel. New season. It's been a while. The snow's finally melted. Ice is gone. You know, if you watch my videos from over the winter, you'll notice that we went to Disneyland for a family vacation back in December. I posted a couple of videos of it. But we had such a fun time that my wife and I were saying before the kids graduate, because they start graduating actually this year and over the next few years now, we figured that we had such a fun time we thought we'd go back again this coming February. So I've had to start working a lot of overtime to pay for that and fund that trip. So I haven't been able to get out riding yet this year, so this is the first time. I was gonna go out riding with a buddy of mine, a cop buddy that I have that rides bikes as well, but just didn't work out that first time. So, and then he's working day shift today, and I think he's on nights the next 2 nights. But I have a day off today, so I figured I'd come out and do a solo ride. So today's just going to be mainly back road riding, just because I'm out here alone and solo, and this is like big time serious grizzly country back here. I have bear spray, but I'd rather just stick to the roads, and that way if I see a grizzly, it's at least there's people around in the general area, or people coming by eventually. And also if I have a wreck or get injured or something like that. But it's still pretty scenic and pretty nice out here, so mostly it'll be back roads, maybe a few trails on the side here and there, but mostly back roads. The other thing I wanted to mention is when I do these solo rides, and I'm hoping to do a couple of them this year, I kind of thought, you know, I wanted to work my Christian faith into these videos. And about the only time I can really do that is when I come out solo, and then I can stop for lunch and maybe have a bit of a chat or a devotional time where we can talk about something a little more serious, a little more consequential. Not for very long, just a few minutes. So we'll do that today. We'll break for lunch and we'll have a little chat. But for now, let's just enjoy the sound of the bike and the sound and the scenes of these backcountry roads. Until we break for lunch. Kind of a cool little area in here. I think eventually we'll find our way back to the road. At least I think so. I hope so. that looks pretty in here. Nice and closed in with the trees. Wow, that looks pretty. I hope it shows up nice on the camera. I think I see the road. Nice little detour for 2 or 3 kilometers. Went quite a ways into the bush off to the side here and then came back eventually 2 or 3 kilometers later down to the road. It's just up here. There's a corner up here, and last year I went around the corner and I foolishly wasn't recording because it's kind of, there's not much going on here. So I didn't bother recording. But as soon as I turned that corner, there was a grizzly bear right there. He looked at me and then he took off into the bush, thankfully. But this time I'll leave it running just in case. I came around this corner, and then I brought my highs back up, and right there, it's about right here that I saw it, and it was literally right there, right on the edge here, and then it took off into those trees. Or was it up just a little bit? I can't remember. Maybe it was as soon as I got to the top of that crest, maybe. We'll have to go see. Yeah, I was right here. I came on this crest, couldn't see over top until I got right here, and then he was like right here, right on the edge. Kind of swung around, looked at me, and I was like, oh no, here we go. And then he took off into those trees. Big old grizzly bear. And I couldn't believe I didn't record it. Look at those mountains. That's where we're heading, into those, right into those mountains.
know, it's been pretty stressful with my home life and my work life this last 2, 3, 4 weeks. I won't bother getting into everything that's been going on, but it's just been pretty stressful. So it is very nice to get out here by myself with the Lord. Beautiful weather, and just kind of decouple from life, de-stress, kind of refocus and regroup a little bit. You know, even if I don't get to go out as often as I want to, my wife is okay with that. Even if the bike sits for most of the summer and I only use it 4 or 6, maybe 8 or 10 times total, so be it. Especially with all this working overtime now, trying to save up for a few things. The biggest thing was that Disney trip in February coming up, but it's pretty much funded now, so now I got some other financial goals I gotta work on. But I'm getting close to retirement from the RCMP, from the policing. I basically could go anytime. So it'll be anywhere from 1 year to 5 years, somewhere in between there, that I finally pull the pin and retire and do something else. I got 20 years in now, well, in September. Just a couple of months. And you know, in the States, in America, that's all you got to do is 20 years and you get your full pension. With the NYPD or LAPD or FBI or whatever it might be. 20 years and you get your full pension. Here in Canada, for policing, it's 25 years to get your full pension. But with all the injuries that I've had at work, breaking my leg, wrecking my knee, my hearing is shot. I got to wear hearing aids now, especially at work. Rolling and flipping my police car at 127 kilometers an hour, kind of wrecking my back with that one. I honestly thought I was about to die. It's funny because it kind of, like, even though I was going quite fast at 127 kilometers an hour, when it kind of happened, I remember it kind of, time slowed down. And I seen the ditch coming. I knew it was going to hit really, really hard. And I literally said out loud to the Lord, "So this is how it ends, Lord." And because I thought I was about to die. I hit that ditch super hard. My car flipped over, rolled. Next thing I knew, I was upside down and my roof was crushed in. It was quite hard to get myself out, but I got myself out. I had a few bumps and scrapes and a little bit of blood on my hand and my arm, but that was it. The call, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning or so, and just about to end the shift. End the shift was 5 o'clock, and it was like just before that, so it was 4:30. And we got a call in the north end of the city of a break and enter in progress at a tow company yard, and I was pretty close, so I took the call and I started making my way there. And it took me about 5 minutes to drive there, but when I was about 2 minutes away, an update came across the radio saying that the people from the tow yard had called back in and said that the suspects had left in I think it was like a red and gray pickup truck. Well, it was 4:30 in the morning, so there's not many vehicles around, and I was really close to this area. So sure enough, just a couple seconds later, this gray and red pickup truck comes coming the other way opposite me, but there was a big cement divider, so I had to quickly go down to the end of the road, turn around and do a U-turn, and then try to catch up to them. Of course, they saw me, so they took off. So by the time I got turned around, I was probably a kilometer or so behind them. So I booted it down that city street trying to catch up to them. And I hit a corner, and they were doing construction like on the road, so there was loose gravel on the road, and my back end of my Crown Victoria police car just kind of washed out. Just that's it. I did a 180 on the highway on the road, so I was actually going forward still but kind of backwards. Kilometer or two, it comes back out on the road. We're just 2 or 3 kilometers up in the bush here. Just thought I'd do something different and kind of check an area out. But then it circles back around and it comes back out to the main road. And down at the bottom, it's usually a good spot for the wild horses to hang out. So we'll see if they're there, but they probably are. They're usually up around here, and if not, then down at the bottom. I'm going to look back over my left shoulder and you'll see the mountains that we're going to head towards here whenever we get back to the road. That's kind of where we just came from the truck, down that way, probably about 40 kilometers. So that's where we're going. Stalled. Thought I was in first, I think I was in third. Just gonna take a break for a few minutes, rest my hands. Here's the bottom, here's the road. Oh, there's a horse. There's horses. Yeah, there you go, there's a bunch of horses over there. Hopefully these guys aren't harassing them. See a bunch of them over there. Some more. Okay, we're gonna cross Red Deer River here. I'm not sure if it'll be high this time of year, if it's gotta be maybe another couple of weeks, few weeks, I'm not sure. We'll see. It's a bit narrow, but we'll slow down and so you can see the river. Yeah, it's getting pretty high. It'll still get higher yet. With all the runoff from the winter and up in the snow up in the mountains. So we're heading up there. There's a lookout coming up. Hopefully there's nobody there. It's a Friday, a work day. It's not a long weekend, so far there hasn't been a lot of traffic out here, so we'll see. If it's not too busy, we'll stop there and just take a quick look. Unfortunately, the river will be kind of muddy and mucky, but at least it's a clear day. You'll be able to see pretty good. There's no fire smoke in the air. Give you a pretty good viewpoint. That's just coming up in a few seconds here. Oh good, there's nobody here. It's so pretty back here. So those mountains in the distance that you can see there, that's Banff National Park. We're gonna head in that direction. We're gonna head in that direction, basically over that hill there, and right into those mountains, on the edge of them. But yeah, that's Banff National Park. Across that mountain range, not very far really, as the bird flies, would be Canmore, Alberta. Basically, more or less straight across there. All right, let's get going. We can't go much further now, but just ahead is kind of the end. But this is actually a federal government owned and operated horse ranch. They raise and train all of the horses here for all of Parks Canada across the entire country. So wherever you are in Canada, if you're in a national park, and you see a park ranger on a horse around the park or up in the mountains, that horse came from here. And there's the ranch house up there. This is pretty much the end of it, and then they have to kind of turn around and go back. So we'll head back into the mountains and then stop somewhere for lunch. I might as well just turn around here. But those mountains there, that's the leading edge of Banff National Park. When we stop for lunch, it'll be pretty amazing, pretty beautiful, because we're right in the mountains when we stop for lunch. We'll just go back about 20 kilometers. But yeah, this is kind of the end of the road just up there. That's the ranch house up there. This is the federal government of Canada owned and operated ranch, which is actually my employer, not Parks Canada, but the federal government. That's who I work for. All right, let's head back and stop somewhere for lunch. Look at that. Sorry, girls. there's a big herd of Parks Canada horses. At some point soon, I imagine they're going to be sent all across Canada. Kind of funny, even though we are way out in the middle of nowhere, you still see road signs. Well, this seems like a really nice place to stop for lunch. Look at that. Well, let's get the old stool out. Well, we got a beautiful homemade, basically club sandwich. It's got turkey, ham, bacon, cheese, lettuce, mayo, and honey mustard. We got some kiwi, and then a nice dairy milk chocolate bar to finish it off, and some nice Evian water. Still kind of cool. All right, let's have some lunch.
Now that lunch is done, and I'm standing out here and I'm looking at this view, you and I, we are really far out here today. We are completely disconnected and untethered from the normal world and normal life. There's no cell service out here anywhere, hasn't been for a long time. Completely alone. And you know, when I find myself in a place like this, my mind usually goes to the Genesis creation account. Just because it's so raw and wild and basically untouched out here. And you know, over this last week or so, when I was kind of thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, I knew that I would be out in a place like this. And so I thought, well, why don't we just start at the beginning, the book of Genesis, and talk about a little bit about that. But then I thought about a certain man, and I'm going to put his picture up on the screen here so you can see it. His name is Herbert Spencer. He lived in the 1800s, and he died just over 100 years ago, in 1903. He was a well-known British polymath, a funny word. But a polymath is basically somebody who is kind of like a jack of all trades in the academic side of life. So Herbert Spencer, he was well-versed and knowledgeable and skilled in a variety of different academic fields of study and ways of thinking. One of the things that he was most well known for was he discovered and then published a certain kind of concept that he kind of basically believed that he came up with. He says that all life, all reality, everything in existence can be placed into one of 5 categories. According to him, those 5 categories are time, force, action, space, and matter. Herbert Spencer was an atheist, and he was an ardent supporter and believer in evolution. He was an atheist and a humanistic evolutionist. He completely rejected this book and the God who wrote this book, who authored this book. I would even say he hated the God of the Bible. But you know, in Genesis chapter 1, the very first verse, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. This is what we read. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's a very well-known verse. It's a very simple verse, but it's also packed full of pretty deep meaning, actually. But interestingly, did you catch that it actually has those 5 categories right there? In the beginning, time, God, force, created, action, the heavens, space, and the earth, matter. Isn't that kind of cool? In the beginning, time, God, force, created, action, the heavens, space, earth, matter. So this This man who lived just over 100 years ago, who did not believe in God, was hostile to the Bible and to the God of the Bible, he kind of discovered this reality. Yet Moses wrote Genesis 3,300 years ago under the direction and inspiration of God. In the very opening verse of the Bible, Genesis 1:1, God gave us exactly that. All Herbert Spencer needed to do was open a Bible and read the very first verse, the opening sentence. And those 5 categories of existence, of reality, were right there. In the beginning, time, God, force, created action, the heavens, space, and the earth, matter. I just always found that story and that connection fascinating. You know, this book is amazing. You know, there's 3 main questions that every human who has ever lived and whoever will live, every adult human, there's 3 main questions that we all ask. If you were out here biking with me today and we were sitting down for lunch and I asked you, hey, what are the 3 main questions of life? What do you think you might answer with? Would you agree with me if I suggested that they are: where did we come from? Why are we here? And where are we going? This book answers those 3 questions clearly. It tells us our origins and where we came from. It tells us why we're here and our purpose in life. And it tells us our destiny, our eternal destiny at that. So this book answers those 3 main questions. It's an amazing book. But even in addition to those 3 main questions, this book answers basically all the other questions that come up in life that we might have. It truly does. You know, this book, it has a consistent unfolding message and narrative from cover to cover. It tells us of a cosmic level story that's unfolding in the background and all around us, that's much, much bigger than us. We play a part, but a very small part. But while it does that, there are so many different... Just going to wait for the wind to die down. The wind kind of comes and goes, it kind of gusts, settles down. I'm hoping it settles down in just a second. This book, as it tells us this unfolding cosmic level story, it also has a bunch of subplots and sub-storylines in there. This book is filled with so many kinds of different individuals and different personalities. It's filled with allegiances and alliances and betrayals and anger and romance and sex and murder and deceit. And it tells us of the guilt of humanity. But then overall, from cover to cover, this book is a message of redemption. How we can be, even though we're guilty, sinful, unrighteous, and we all know it. Some of us don't like to admit it, but we all know that we're guilty. We all know that we do some pretty bad stuff, some worse than others, but all of us do it. But this book tells us how we can be redeemed and reconciled with God. So if you have a Bible, pick it up and read it. If you don't have a Bible, get one and read it. I don't read it as often as I should. I don't study it as much as I should, and I certainly don't know it as well as I should. But it is an amazing book. It is literally the Word of God. He could have just told Adam verbally. I suppose he could have just left us in the quiet and never said a word to us about who he is, or why we're here or anything. But he did. But he could have just verbally told Adam, and Adam could have passed it down, and his children and his, right? And here we are hundreds of generations later, and then we kind of verbally were told. Could have been that way. But instead he chose to write it down or have it written down so that we could read it ourselves and then reread it and then read it again, study it, dissect it, reread it, ponder it, read it again, memorize some of it. It's an amazing book. And I just hope that I read it more and study it more, and I hope you do too. Over the summer months, I'm going to try to get out and do a couple more of these solo rides. When I do, if you kind of like this kind of thing, when I go out for the solo rides, I'll stop for lunch, and I'm hoping to do a little more of this kind of thing. Maybe 2 or 3 more times, hopefully. I'll either go out for just a solo ride down some secondary highway, or maybe I'll hopefully come out to a place like this. So if you kind of like this, watch for those solo rides coming up over the next few months. You can also look back last season. I did a couple of these solo rides then and talked a little bit during the lunch breaks at that time as well. So you can always check out those ones as well. But basically, I'm just going to stand here now, enjoy the quiet and the solitude, spend some time with the Lord, just kind of praise Him and worship Him and think about Him and His creation. I don't know, for 15, 20, 25 minutes. And then probably what I'll do is I'll probably throw the drone up and get some video footage for you guys so you guys can see this amazing area. And then we'll pack it all up, put some fuel in the bike, and ride that hour and a half back to the truck. Load up the bike and then drive an hour and a half back home in the truck. So for me, it'll be 15, 20, 25 minutes. For you, it'll just be a few moments. And I'll see you then.